Hey, anti-bullying day. All right, exciting stuff. Bullying, it's a thing. It happens in schools. It's interesting. I guess you could say the life cycle of bullying and things like this. Like in my experience, I grew up in the suburbs of Mississauga, and I went to school, and it was kind of in the early '90s, and so there was, I think, the first kind of big influxes of brown people into Canada, or maybe the second or third wave of that. But the point is, there was a lot of different ethnicity kids in my elementary school, and it was strange because, like, my best friend was a kid named Chandru. I call him Sean Dillion, and he called me the Tomahawk. Because we were playing dodgeball. We loved playing dodgeball. That was our game. And I remember the first time that I found out racism was a real thing in the third grade, and I was really shocked because, like, I thought we had all evolved past racism. My friend Matt, a white kid, didn't like my friend Chandru because he said Chandru was a nigger, and I never heard this word before. I didn't understand what all of this was about. And then there became this weird, almost ethnic divide in my elementary school of the boys, and we would play, capture the flag or snowball or red ass or, all the classic Canadian things. But this drama that's playing out in the Middle East would play out in our soccer field with a bunch of white kids versus brown kids with snowballs, and I was always not sure which side of the war I was on. It was a very strange time. And so, up to the 5th grade, we were living in Mississauga, and then we moved to Calgary. I'd always felt like a cool kid. All the kids I went to school with, we all got along, we all had fun. We were making, up to grade 5, life is pretty fun anyway. And then we moved to Calgary for a year for some type of thing in my dad's business career, and that was the first time I had ever really been exposed to bullying. I was the new kid at the school. I really had a hard time making friends. I didn't really get what they were about, or I didn't feel like I really jived with these people. And I remember, like me and I remember you guys, and I won't say your names. No, I'll say them. Fuck it. There's no innocence, right? But I used to hang out with these two kids because we lived in this, like, rich neighborhood. When I was in grade 6, I found out that I was in a wealthy family. I didn't know before that. And so, I'm hanging out with these two other rich kids, and, I realized why I never got along with rich kids, because they're dicks. And so, there was a big blizzard, big snowstorm thing, and, we had a whole bunch of snow on the ground, and school was canceled for like 3 days in a row. It was the most snow Calgary had seen in 100 years. And so the three of us in this very rich neighborhood with huge cookie cutter mansions all around and everything, we built just a massively huge snow fort that, was maybe like 15 to 20 feet long and tunneled, and it was a very extreme situation. And for whatever reason, when we're playing out in the back on the hill, these two pricks decide to give me something called a snow job. And I don't understand that, I'm like, what the fuck, you want to fight with me now? Like, that's like a stupid, weird thing that happens among young boys, I guess, for whatever reason. But the snow job, if you're unaware, is where they rip off your coat and then they shove really freezing cold snow all up your back. And if you're getting a snow job, it's because they think you're a little bitch, and they think that they can do it to you, and you'll let them. And that was the first time, the first incident of bullying, And I got this snow job, and I was all pissed off and crying. I was like, you guys are fucking dicks! I gotta go break the fort now! And then they beat me up a little bit more, and that was like, that was the thing. And then I had to go to school with these kids for the rest of the 6th grade. And it was a weird thing because I had been snowboarding with them, you know, our families knew each other, we were all tight and all these things like that. And then they were just fucking dicks, you know? And so I didn't know how to deal with these dickish people. And then, you know, we moved back to Mississauga for 7th grade for whatever reason. I don't know why we moved 3,000 kilometers for 1 year, but we did. So then 7th grade comes up. I'm on the touch football team, you know, and I think I'm like a wide receiver or whatever, you know, one of the guys that catches the ball and goes, runs across the line, you know. And there's, for whatever, you know, young kids, they butt heads, you know, that's a thing that happens, right? And there was this kid, the quarterback of the football team, and there was this weird type of situation where, you know, we had like one of those weird, all right, I'll see you on the field after, you know, and we were gonna fight. We were gonna fight. And then I was in art class, and the quarterback's girlfriend came and talked to me and said, you know, don't beat him up too much. And then I lost the mojo to fight, you know. I was like, whatever, we're on the same team, this is a stupid fight, it doesn't make sense. And so I showed up to the thing, and a lot of people had gathered to see these two scrawny white dudes fight it out. And so, you know, I just put forward my hand. I was like, dude, this is stupid. We're teammates. I think it's ridiculous. We shook hands. And then this group of kids that wanted to see you fight decided, all right, we're going to kick this pussy's ass because he decided not to fight. And then so, you know, I got like gang beat by maybe like 10 or 15 kids. And then on top of that, to make matters worse, my mom decided to come and pick me up in the van from school that day. So she witnessed this beating go down, and then basically ran into the, Ray, what the fuck are you doing? You know, it was a very, and that's great, you know, for your social life when you're like getting gang beat and your mom comes in and it's like, hey, stop gang beating my son, without any class. And so that was, so grade 7 and 8, not a lot of friends, you know, didn't really get along, didn't understand what all these shenanigans were. And then I was faced with this torturous idea of like, oh my God, if I have to go to Port Credit, I'm gonna get initiated, I'm gonna get beat up, a whole bunch of things like that. Plus, I've always wanted to be like a theatrical person. I've always wanted to do these types of things, and I just want to. So I went and auditioned to the art school, and you know, I got into the art school, and I was really excited because I was like, all right, finally, a place that can accept me, a place that welcomes freaks and weirdos, and like celebrates that and puts it on display. But that wasn't what Cawthra was. That wasn't what this art school that sold itself as like an all-accepting, all-encompassing place was. It was a fucking, like, so many of the people that were in these programs, you know, these supposed enriched arts programs that were supposed to let people build towards their careers and dreams of being entertainers and all that, or artists and, you know, musicians and dancers and, you know, all those things. And it's like, most of the people that went to that school, they went to that school because their parents knew that an extra little piece of paper next to their high school diploma would make stuff much, you know, it'll make it easier to get into university. So now, my, you know, grades 9 through 12, my drama class is occupied with a bunch of these fucking empty heads. You know, like people that don't care about drama. People that want to be celebrities. People that, you know, and like, okay, sure. And maybe that was a good thing for all these people to grow out of and everything else, but when I was in high school, I was fucking serious about taking on the world. And like really trying to make it my own. And because I took my education seriously, you know, other kids didn't think that was cool. And so it's this weird thing of like, cool. Yeah, I'm not into doing homework and stuff. That's not cool, you know? Well, what the fuck is cool? Stupid? It is. Being cool is stupid. I started smoking because I wanted to be cool. That's fucking dumb. But this is how retarded we are, collectively. And so, I see these types of things and I go like, nah, because it makes me frustrated a bit. And so, bullying, it happens. It happens. And like I think a weirder form of bullying, like sometimes we think bullying is like, oh yeah, I got fucking wedgied or like pushed in my locker. That happened too, Good times in the gym class, alright. But like, we go through all that shit and this is when the voices start, Because you get abused at home, right? You come from an authoritarian home where you're unsure of whether or not you're doing anything right, if you're safe anytime you make a mistake, you're not sure how much of real you can put on display because every time you do, BAM! So it's a thing. And then that compounds school, where you go to like make friends and stuff. You want to be people's friends, but then they're like, what the fuck are you looking at? BAM! And you don't know. You don't know who you can trust. Where am I fucking safe? And then you get to high school, and you think, okay, I'm educating myself, I'm becoming an adult, I'm learning all these things, okay, this is good. And then people gossip about you. They spread rumors about you because you're different. There was a rumor that I heard floating around about me in my high school that so apparently in the 12th grade I was driving a Ford F-150 and drove by a dead raccoon next to the road, and I pulled over the truck and started eating the raccoon. See, the kids in my school, they were more focused on being cool than getting an education. So they don't even have the sense to realize how fucking ridiculous of a statement that is. Pull over at the side of the road and eat a fucking raccoon? Like, how do you even defend yourself from a rumor like that? That's insane. Or other, I remember another thing in grade 9, like I loved massages. Massage was a thing, because when I was a little boy, my brother and his older friends, they would come in our hot tub, in our pool, and I would massage my brother and his friends, and it was a thing, and I got really good at understanding where muscles are and how to pull them and rub them so your back feels nice. So in grade 9, there was like this weird massage train thing, and I started a massage train. And someone decided to start a rumor that I was some type of weird pervert that was getting off on massaging people's backs. Like, that's bullshit. Because this is how people get ostracized and cut off from society completely. Because people like to gossip and spread rumors so they can feel cool about what a fucking loser they are. You know how they say, like, bullying, it gets better? Don't worry, it gets better. It doesn't. It doesn't get better. It continues to compound, and add up until you actually do something about it. But the thing is, if you wait too long to do something about it, it's too late. So, like, I left high school. I graduated, got through that period of my life that was very... I think I probably tried to kill myself once or twice during high school. And obviously, like, nobody knows any of that shit, They're a bunch of kids. They weren't paying attention to these types of things. Nobody gives a shit about anything. It's just what it is. But the thing is, if you're someone that does give a shit, people will fuck with you because you give a shit. And they don't understand why you, like, what you give a fuck about. And the things that I give a fuck about, like, I feel completely helpless. to do any of these things, anything about the things that I know about. Because everyone else, when they went to school, were so focused on being cool, they didn't bother to learn dick about anything. So I grew up Mormon. You know, Mormonism is a religion that's very different and very misunderstood. I'll leave it at that for now in regards to Mormonism. But growing up, you know, in that house that I did, you know, in the levels of abuse and control and dominance that surrounded me, the only thing that really gave me any peace was this belief in God. This like weird God thing. You know, like when I was 15, I tried hanging myself in my closet, and the shelf broke, and I got hit in the head with the Book of Mormon. Like that's fucking hilarious. That's hilarious shit. But like, you know, who's intelligent enough to appreciate the beauty of that joke? You know? Not very many people. But the thing is, everyone can. It's just, everyone's minds are locked in this weird, retarded vice of acting like a moron. We are glorifying stupidity, and we all strive towards it? That doesn't make sense. But we all know that. So giving a fuck about the world and believing that you could somehow make an impact on it is crazy, right? Is it? Because people have made impacts on the world before. Is it really that crazy to assume that you might be able to change the world in a meaningful way? You know, that's what I'm working on. Is that bad? No. I feel like if you're not working on trying to change the world in some meaningful way, you are a selfish piece of shit that deserves to die. Because that's how fucked up our society is. Our society is so fucked up right now. We could be called to go kill Chinese and Russian people in 6 or 7 months, and everybody would be on board with it and would have no fucking clue why. And the really sad thing is, the Chinese and the Russians don't even want this stupid fucking war. Cool is a bullshit construct that the 1% use to placate you, dumb you down, and make you a slave to their bullshit wages. Giving a fuck about this is crazy. Giving a fuck about the way the government that runs the country you live in operates is crazy and stupid. That's not cool. To like be informed on any of the bullshit that's like being dumped on you day after day after day by these fucking morons that run your life because you let them. Yeah. Belief in God. Belief in God is the thing that keeps me sane. To feel the level of anxiety and frustration when you really see the world for the flaming ball of shit that it's about to be is not an easy task. And the thing is, in the field of mental health, the way that they're going to deal with this very real anxiety that many people are feeling about the state of the world and its affairs, well, they're going to say that's a mental illness. And what they're going to do is they're going to give you Seroquel. You know, they'll give you Seroquel or lorazepam or Zyprexa or risperidone or, you know, any of these other drugs that are basically little chemical lobotomies. You know? They don't even know what they're doing in psychiatry. The idea that you can somehow take a pill then not have to deal with this is delusional. Because you have to deal with reality. Even the realities that you don't like the reality that you live in a country that has very slowly and quietly become fascist. The fact that you are on the wrong side of history, you're living in a country that is part of exporting death and destruction across the globe. You're part of this civilization that is literally killing the planet. What can you do to change it? Nothing, right? Just be apathetic, man. Just be cool. Just play along with the shit, man. It's fine. I don't have a problem. You know, I'm okay. I got my food. I got my place. I'm taken care of. I don't give a fuck about anything else, I guess. Is that really what we were meant to be as human beings? No. You have a soul. That's a real thing. Now, legally, this country, Canada specifically I'm referring to, is built on a philosophy founded on the existence of a supreme deity, aka God. That makes everyone feel weird, that God word. I get that. But let's look at the law for a minute. Law is about being an arbiter of justice. What is justice? Have you ever seen justice in a Canadian courtroom? Just a thought. By the way, do you ever wonder why pedophiles only get 5 years in prison? It's because Canadian judges gotta protect their own. Yeah. This is how scary and dark the country you live in could be. Do you ever wonder why there's 1,200 missing and murdered Aboriginal women? Like, where the fuck did they go, right? Weird. You know what's really weird? Is apparently the fucking RCMP and various members of the BC government, they used to go out for barbecues on prolific serial killer Robert Picton's farm. I mean, it was just a social gathering, right? They're just chilling out, you know, drinking a bud, watching the game on a pig farm of the most prolific serial killer in Canadian history for no apparent reason. Yeah, that totally makes sense. They probably had nothing to do with the murders. When you start to think of yourself as not only a physical being, but also a non-physical being, and when you're able to finally reconcile yourself to the fact that you are both physical and non-physical as a person, is when you can start to really see the world for what it is. Psychiatry has made the belief in a soul illegal. You have the right, on paper, to believe that there is a God. You have the right, on paper, to believe that you have a soul that can be stirred and feel things. But the trouble is when your soul has been stirred and you are feeling things, you aren't allowed to feel those things. Because those things you feel is undermining the power structure that enslaves and controls you. Do you wonder why suddenly there seems to be all these people going postal for no reason whatsoever, just opening up, doing a mass shooting? people that haven't thought about this shit as much as I have get very frustrated when they fully wake up and see it. They gotta do something. They don't know what to do. They're pissed, they're mad as hell, and they're not gonna take it anymore. And then a bunch of innocent people die. That had nothing to do with anything. Right? Is that solving this problem? No, it isn't. It isn't. What irks me the most is when I can calmly try and explain to a psychiatrist that I don't want to be there, that I don't want this intervention in my life. I don't respect them as a professional. I don't acknowledge any validity to the pseudoscience that they practice. And I view the treatments that they give me as torture. And it is incredibly disturbing to try and calmly and rationally ask that people not tie you up in a bed, that you don't want to be tied up in a bed, and that you don't want some toxic drug put in your body. Your hands are up, you're complying but not complying. You don't want this. They are not respecting the wishes of individuals that don't want these fucking drugs. And this is how your society is controlled. It's literally mind control. The idea that being intelligent is somehow against cool is where it starts. Your entire life, this system has been seeking to subvert your free will and control you, making you less than what you want to be, what you're capable of being, what is possible out of you and me and everyone else. We wonder sometimes, why is it that we've known about global warming for so many years, and yet we're still driving around these fucking cars? Well, it's profitable. It's way too complex to change the business model. We're just going to leave it out as it is for convenience sake. Before the huge, non-scientific war on the belief in deity, God had a very special place in society and the balancing of power equitably among men. God is so real, and your soul is so real, that literally the evidence for it is everywhere around you. Now, God isn't a thought that is going to pop into your brain against your will. God is a thought that wants you to get to know it. And you can try to get to know it on your own terms, and it'll work with you. But believing that God is actually moving through you, that you're actually part of God, well, that's diagnosably insane. But it isn't insane. This is the one belief that has built civilization. The idea that there is something bigger than any individual on the earth. That is a reminder of mankind's place in the world. And we have forgotten our place in the world. Look at us, we're destroying it. How do we fix it? How do we fix it? It starts with this thing that you all hate. This God thing. This thing that you think hates you. You hate it because you think it hates you. And I don't get that. You know? Like God built this giant aquarium that we all live in. You know? It's nice. We have the freedom to destroy it if we want. And some people are going to argue about like, well, why does God let bad things happen to good people? Who the fuck says God's in charge of this craziness any longer? There is a God, there is a devil. God wants the human race to evolve and be part of the cosmos in the future. God loves man. And the devil would love it if we just died off. It's evolution, baby. Yeah, God's about evolution. What a fucking concept. Whenever I find myself in a debate with an atheist that decides to take the Bible as literally as a dumb, literal, fundamentalist Christian takes the Bible, all that says to me is that the atheist is just as stupid as the fundamentalist Christian. The Bible is a text where this society, North American society, Western civilization, grew out of. And understanding the, for lack of a better term, magic behind that book is key to averting the mass extinction level event, which we all know is on the horizon. Because we know the way that we're living currently is not sustainable. So we have this choice. Are we going to evolve our thinking so we can actually do something to save the world? Or are we going to keep running around in a mild panic while some people know what's going on and some people, and the majority of people, don't? Because the people that know what's going on are trying to figure out how to fix this shit too, but they're also trying to keep it a secret because they don't want a mass panic. Well, maybe the trick is to get the human race to a level of intelligence where it can collectively make peace with the fact that an asteroid is hurtling towards this space. And within 100 years, all that we've ever known will be wiped from existence. We have to make peace with that. Is that actually what's happening? I don't know. Maybe that's just an example to help maybe raise a little bit of awareness about other things going on that nobody pays attention to. Does bullying go away? No. Bullying doesn't go away because bullying is one of the building blocks and cornerstones of the system of oppression. Bullies are cool. So, if you're not cool, stay in school. School is good. I think about the human race on this level almost every day. I recognize that I'm a grain of salt, you're a grain of salt, everybody's a fucking grain of salt. And I feel like our salt shaker is about to get tipped over. A lot of grains of salt are going to disappear for no fucking reason. I don't want that to happen. And I think collectively, if all the grains of salt decided that we didn't want this bullshit to go down, then it wouldn't. How does one prevent the Third World War? By having a civil war instead. How does one prevent a civil war? By invoking civil discourse about complex ideas where people can hold separate viewpoints and still be friends. But that's not what's happening with the millennial generation. You're all way too worried about keeping up appearances and what people will think about you based on who you associate with. Well, remember, you're associating with the devil right now, and God's the only voice that matters. I know, that's a little ridiculous, but deal with it.